What's up? It's Jeremy Picker from Amber Creative.
This is Deanna with In the Zoning and Print Girl Mafia.
This is Ray Weiss with Printing United Alliance.
You're listening to the Two Regular Guys podcast.
Hosted by Terry Combs RG, Regular Guy, and Aaron Montgomery.
The place to be for industry news.
The best dad jokes on earth, along with relevant topics to apparel decorators.
Fashion to the people.
The show. It is Friday, July 17th, 2026. I'm Terry Combs. You can find me at terrycombs.com.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery from Super Gamut and our Success Group. And this week, Terry, you and I are going to be taking up a debate. Shocking, right? You and I debating something, Blue Cheese Ranch, right? But nothing that hardcore today. We're going to be talking about buying DTF transfers versus printing in-house and kind of exploring when you should make the move. I think in our discussions on this, we don't think there really is a clear-cut answer. You know, everybody wants that, like, give me the dollar amount that I need to be spending to,
Right.
Okay, hold on a second. There's a little bit more to this. But we're going to debate both sides of this together with you guys, the regulators. I see people tuned in already, so we want your take on all this. And let's see what we come up with here as a good... What is the time to bring this technology in-house? So
Exactly. And like a lot of our shows, it's helping you to be a more educated buyer. So
absolutely,
we'll delve in.
We will delve in, and looking forward to that for sure.
All right. Stay till the very end. This week, we are joined by a friend of the show and recent guest, Warren Werbit. He's going to share a short secret sauce about companies using their own database to reach out to inactive clients. So I'm really, really interested in hearing that.
Yep. I've got my pen ready to go. So I'm excited to have, this will be we were talking about this before, but I just recalled this is actually our second guest secret sauce. If you don't count Dane Clement, the official Two Regular Guys art guy,
right?
Because Cassie Green actually shared a secret sauce not too terribly long ago, and we're excited to get Warren in here and share some information. And we've got Warren coming up on a future show as well, so going to be good stuff today. Speaking of good stuff, we were just talking backstage in the green room, so to speak, with our good friends at WIN News, World Imaging News, and let's get them in here to share the news and all the fun that they always have with us too.
All right, let's hear the news.
Hey everyone, MJ here from rainy and cold as always, Bogota, Colombia, but it's still very bustling.
And I'm Dan Barefoot from Los Angeles, California, home of the World Cup. And by the way, Colombia is not in the finals.
Well, then, neither is the US. And yes, we are still mourning the loss to England. I am rooting for Spain. What about you, Dan?
Well, I'm also rooting for Spain. I was just in Barcelona at FESPA, and I really love that city. We could do a whole show on our frustrating loss, but I think it could have been worse. What if the US and Colombia played in the finals? I don't want to think about that, so let's move on to the news. So what's happening out there?
I am sure Printing United will be featured a great deal in the news, by us and by others. Right up until it opens September 23rd to 25th, the listeners will keep hearing the drumbeat of Printing United.
Drumbeat?
I am sure you know that old term, right, Dan?
MJ, I'm not taking the bait. Old term? Here's some big news. We have a star in our midst. Well, everyone on the program, of course, is a star, but we have an all-star.
All-star? My sources then tell me it's Aaron Montgomery. This is big news.
Hey, you stole my thunder. And yes, it is really big news. It is Aaron, co-host of Two Regular Guys. And of course, we are very proud of the contribution he makes to our industry. Aaron will be an official Printing United All-Star. MJ, I think we should do an interview with the Two Regular Guys team on a WIN Stream It and do a WIN Pong with them, talking about Printing United. What do you think?
Of course. Dan, I have some ideas. Do you think they will accept our invite?
Well, you know what we could do? We could offer them our triple rate. Wait, do we pay? Okay, we diverged a bit back to the news. You're going to FESPA Mexico, right?
Yes, I will be covering FESPA Mexico as press. Last year was my first time, and I'm really excited to be back in Mexico City, September 10 to 12.
Wow, the world traveler. First Mexico City, then big news, Printing United in Las Vegas for the first time. You are busy.
We have been very busy
Yes,
then.
we have.
Coming into FESPA and Printing United, we have some great content planned along with coverage of the many new products launching in both shows. So stay tuned. And then we also have some breaking news. And I promise, don't worry, I will not steal your thunder.
Okay, my thunder's already been broken. So I appreciate the kind gesture. Several weeks ago, we launched the Zero edition of Win Report, our new digital magazine. Each edition focuses on a specific product category, published bi-monthly in English and Spanish.
Yes, our zero edition, which means it is a sample of what we plan to offer. Cover flatbed laminator work tables and feature the top 5 manufacturers. It was really well received, Dan.
You know what? I'm even more excited about our debut edition. 2 weeks before Printing United, we fully launched the Win Report DTF edition. We're expecting over 60 manufacturers with product pages. Not only DTF printers, but the full ecosystem, inks, RIP software, powder shakers, cutters, and so much more.
Feature articles will come from global DTF experts, including Key Points David Sweetnam from the UK, who tests DTF printers and systems worldwide, and Kjell Carlson from Sweden, founder of Printing TLDR, covering production tools and AI automation for print shops. No spin, just facts.
That's right, no spin, just facts. That's exactly how we're positioning this. Our objective is for each edition to be the go-to source for its product category. And here's a fact, no other trade journal currently covers the way we will, and certainly not the DTF ecosystem in one place. Having said that, we better end our news segment and get back to work. We have too much on our plate.
You're right, Dan. And I need to go back for FESPA and Printing United.
MJ, that's way too early. You don't need to pack now. Anyway, that's our Win News on Two Regular Guys for today. If you want to be among the first to know updates and news like we shared today, subscribe to Win Quick News, our weekly newsletter, or visit worldimagingnews.com.
And for our Latino audience, head to worldimagingnewslatino.com and sign up for Win Quick News.
That's it for this edition of Win News on Two Regular Guys. I'm Dan.
And I'm MJ.
Until next time, keep your printers printing, be healthy, and keep smiling.
Manténganse saludables y sigan sonriendo.
All right. Yeah, good stuff there from MJ and Dan. And yeah, what stood out to you, Terry?
I wasn't aware that FESPA Mexico was just before Printing United, so that's interesting news.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely interesting stuff. And I agree with Ramona here. She says, I love the back and forth between these two. In addition to the news update, we get fun and entertainment. Absolutely. That's they're kindred spirits, Terry. We like to do the same. And I think that's why we get along so well. And Cassie said, I would absolutely watch an interview from Win with the Expo All-Stars. So yeah, I'm excited to be part of that community of All-Stars. I still don't really know how I fit into that whole crowd because there's some real powerhouses on there, but I'm just glad to be a part of that and get to share what's happening at Expo and help people connect with the industry. I think that's the most fun part is just having an opportunity to really connect different segments and people together and be part of that. So
absolutely, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So let's see here. We got a couple other Doug Sobel tuning in from London again, still over there across the pond. So great to have you tuning in, Doug. And Cassie says, good morning from Colorado, though I'm jealous of Doug in London. Agreed, 100%. We've got Craig Bradley from Collegiate Press Wide Format checking in, saying good morning. And Ramona, good morning, everybody. And Seth, hello, Aaron, and hello, Terry. So appreciate you tuning in, Seth. Excited to have your thoughts as we talk about this DTF subject here today, Terry. So,
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
but with that being said, before we get to the DTF, we have to have the dad joke. It's part of our charm. And let's see, you've got one here, Terry. So I read it. Let's see how you do. I don't know. I'm curious.
Okay, I'm ready to.
Okay, let's do this.
So, Aaron, I told my grandson when I was his age, I used to get 10 CDs in the mail for a penny.
Wow, interesting. What was his reply?
I don't know if he thought I was lying about what a CD was, what a penny was, or what the mail was.
That is all right. Well, dad joke and truth, I think. I don't know if my son would actually know what a CD is, and cash or especially change, and some interesting. All right. Well, let's get to the housekeeping, Terry.
All right. So we want to thank everybody for checking out the Two Regular Guys podcast. We still need your voices. We would love to have the regulators participating in our show intros. Go to osg.link/intro, read a few sentences, be a part of every show. Don't be left out. We are always looking for new guests, so if you or anyone you know would like to join us, go to calendly.com/2 regular guys to book a future episode, or email us at info@tworegularguys.com with your show ideas. If you are listening to the podcast version of the show, we would appreciate you sharing the Two Regular Guys podcast with all of your industry friends so they can become regulators too. We would appreciate you giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, wherever you do your podcast listening, we are there. Yeah. And if you're watching us live, as Aaron mentioned, please join in with your comments and your questions and your thoughts, and participate in today's show.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Terry, let's get into this. We are really, when this topic came up, you and I were like, yeah, I think this is really good stuff. We've been having these discussions. I've been out at the trade shows over the last year and a half or so with Super Gamut. And now for me, I spend a lot of my time at these shows kind of teaching business topics. Right. So I have not had as many of these DTF discussions, but I'm getting more and more involved in them. And then over the last several shows, it's been great to kind of see you back out there talking to people. And I think we're hearing some interesting things about this very topic of, when do we make that shift? And I think, maybe it's just because of perspective, right? Because we're out there in a space where people are selling equipment and stuff like that. But the feeling that I'm getting is that more decorators are kind of being pushed towards equipment ownership before they fully understand what it's all about. Some of the things we've been hearing from other companies are these kind of lead-ins that, low monthly payments, these really crazy return on investment claims, and these pretty simplified cost per print numbers. And so I'm excited to hear what you've got to share on this topic, especially now that you've had a couple of shows under your belts back talking about this again. But I guess at the end of the day, for me, Terry, this discussion was not really about, does the equipment fit my business, right? It's not about this is not an equipment ownership show. It's like, is this really the right move for a business, right? Like, can we afford the payments? And like, I think the challenge here is that there is no clear-cut delineation, I guess would be the word that I'm looking for, Terry. So that's why we wanted to have it as a discussion, right? We could just say, okay, right, here's the thing, but let's discuss this. So it is really important that you guys jump in here, that we're part of this discussion together with the regulators. But Terry, talk to us a little bit about some of those things I mentioned, kind of the sales practices and stuff like that too.
Well, we've passed the point where what's a DTF transfer, so yeah, that's good. Everybody gets it. And Aaron, I don't think that there's ever been a technology where it's easier to go from the direction of buying transfers or from the direction of buying equipment. I mean,
Yeah.
the opportunity is there. So, a lot of things have not changed in the industry. There are salespeople you talk to at trade shows or on the phone who will discuss your needs and your business and how you go about your business and whether what they offer fits those needs.
Yeah.
Then there's other people, Aaron, as you know, who are going to try to squeeze and push and nudge what you need into what they sell, whether it fits or not.
Yes, exactly.
Here's
Exactly.
the answer. And Aaron, you and I have had this conversation before. I remember somebody coming up to me when we were hot and heavy selling direct-to-garment printers, like they were going out of style,
Yeah.
and somebody coming up saying, "Well, all I do is youth team apparel," and I remember saying to them, "This is not
Yeah.
what you need. This is for 100% cotton," and they're like, "Well." But all the other people who sell these machines told me it's perfect for what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, it's not. This
Yeah.
is the wrong
Good luck
technology,
then.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
So, and I hope that, you always hope, nobody wants to say no to a sale, but
Yeah. Yeah.
also want to have satisfied customers. You want to have people who are going to come back, 2 years later and say, hey, I kind of shifted gears and now I think this is what I need. And I want to buy it from you.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, I'm sure you actually have those conversations today, right? Like
oh,
people
sure.
that you maybe had those conversations about DTG or about something in the past that, you were able to help them kind of see, oh, shoot, this could be the wrong machine for me, or this could create more of a burden than, I've seen good companies go out of business because they made these investments without really thinking about it. So, but because you were able to help them, now you're able to then say, hey, great, I do have a solution that can help you with polyester now.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and so, and you touched on this before, Aaron, that the goal of the show isn't to tell everybody you must outsource or you must buy equipment. It's to give you the facts,
Yeah.
and then you can make that informed decision based on the volume that you're doing now, your workflow, your cash flow. Do you have staff? What are your goals? Do you want to grow your business, or are you happy printing on Saturdays and Sundays and that's all you want or need to do? So,
Yeah, 100%.
we want to give you the down and dirty facts, and then you take it and do with it what you will.
100%, 100%. And to that end, Terry, I think that's why we were kind of like, you know what, you and I need to have this discussion, right? Could we bring in somebody, expert and stuff like that? But the reality is you've got decades of hands-on production equipment shop experience, right? I've been
Yeah.
around it for decades, and then leaning on the experience I've learned from you, so you understand how equipment performs in the real world. Just because there's one thing to look at the sales sheet and say, oh, it does. We were having this discussion internally the other day. I'm like, okay, well, how many square feet an hour is this machine? And they're like, well, the sales sheet says this. I'm like, I get it, but I need real life numbers here, right? And then the other side of it is, what I've been doing with our success group is not only do we need to understand the production aspect of it, but where does this fit into your business, right? Your financial needs, your planning, your pricing, right? Some people might not be in a place pricing wise where this makes sense.
Right. Well, yeah, Aaron, you've been for years now helping shops know what their numbers are and before making an investment like this. So
Yeah.
So this is the perfect subject for a host show like this.
Yeah. And I think, the other cool part is we've been blessed to be able to work with decorators at different stages, right? From those startups all the way into the big production shops, and heck, you've run those big production shops. And so I think, our biggest hope for a takeaway for everybody here is the right answer is really going to be dependent on your individual business. And if you're not having discussions with the people you're looking at, investing in this equipment with about your business, right? Not just about their shiny object, their toy, right?
Yeah.
Craig from Collegiate Press Wide Format says the next shiny object, right? Yeah, and so yeah, I think both of us have, but I know you really probably have talked to a lot of people who they realized they made a purchasing mistake after the fact. You have any stories to go along with that?
Exactly, Aaron. And so many people say, they'll they come to you after the fact, like you just said, and say, "Well, I made a big mistake." I talked to somebody, I believe it was in the Long Beach show once, and he goes, "Well, I bought XYZ machine, and I'm like, it's not working out for you, huh?" He goes, well, no. I said, well, unfortunately, I hear that story every day. And he goes, but Terry, they told me I could take a 72 DPI file, and their software would convert it to 300 DPI and print it perfectly. And I said, and you believe that? His answer was, I wanted to believe it. Yeah, I want to believe it, but there and it's kind of that predatory salesman. There aren't a lot of people out there that are going to give you information that's just not true. There no softwares can convert your 72 DPI file into a 300 perfect DPI file, and but there are people out there that just share information that they read off, as you were saying, off the price sheet. Well, in the price sheet it says this,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, the price sheet usually isn't from the real world, and we production people live in the real world where sometimes things go awry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's really important, right? And so let's kick this off then, okay? I think we got the point across. Hopefully everybody sees that. But the starting point, this is interesting, right? We're here to talk a little bit about DTF, but I think the first question we should all look at as decorators is, what's your heat press situation, right? This is a heat transfer technology. What's your heat press situation? And so I think this is a great place to start, because it doesn't matter if you're outsourcing your transfers or you're printing them in-house. The heat press is the foundation, period, right? And I know this is a conversation you and I have had before. We've had it a lot. The poor quality heat transfers can ruin a good transfer. So talk to us a little bit about that, Terry.
Well, and you're 1,000% correct. And in reality, for many folks out there who are getting involved in DTF, this is going to be the piece of equipment that you buy initially. Yeah. If you're contracting out, you still need a heat press. And yes, you can buy a heat press on Amazon for $350. Do not buy a heat press on Amazon for $350. I've talked to people, Aaron, in the past who say, I don't get any repeat business. It's the transfers. It's people don't like the feel. It's the economy. I love that one. It's always the economy.
The economy, yeah.
Maybe it's the fact your transfer's peeled off. Maybe that's why you're not getting repeat business. So a good quality heat press, you're talking about at least $1,200, probably more. But for all of us out there and who've run production and used a heat press, you'll have that same heat press in your shop 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Mm-hmm. A good quality American-made heat press is probably going to have a lifetime warranty on the heating element, but it's critical to have a good quality heat press. And I don't care which one you buy, but just buy one that's a good quality. Stahl's Hottronics, Geonite, Night with a K, Hicks, Insta out of California. Any of those heat presses are going to do a great job for you. But a heat press that's doesn't have a name on it, maybe some Chinese writing on the back, is probably not going to do the trick for you. And it's going to you can have a high-end garment. You can have a perfectly produced transfer but a poor quality heat press ruins the whole thing. It's the weak link in the process. So, Aaron, what's your feeling on inexpensive heat presses?
Yeah. No, we've always been on the same page with this. I mean, you could probably go back to year one of the Two Regular Guys, 14 years ago, and we were having this conversation. Now, I think ultimately at the end of the day, right, like reason why this is important is we're trying to help people understand when it's time to get into having their own in-house equipment, right? And so if you don't have that solid foundation of a consistent heat press, because inexpensive presses, right, like they'll work for a little bit, but they're going to have uneven heat, right? You talked about the transfer peeling off. Well, maybe it only sticks on one side and you can't figure it out, right? Or the pressure is not consistent, right? You're trying to crank down the pressure and you end up bending parts and pieces of it and not even knowing about it, right? The heat press doesn't recover quickly. I don't think people understand that part of it. Like there's heat that's lost in the transfer process, and if you're producing, if that heat press is not recovering, all of a sudden, your 275 temperature is now in the 260, 250 range, and you're going, why is my stuff not peeling, right? Or the washability's bad, right? Like it can all come back to that heat press. And so I think if you're considering a DTF printer and you don't currently own a quality heat press, my opinion is that maybe that should be your first investment, right? And they're going to vary. But I would say a good working assumption here, Terry, is to budget at least $1,500 for a dependable commercial press. Right? And I get it, you guys. It's not the flashy, it's not the sexy. It is, right. It's just it's heat press. It's crunk, crunk, and some of them are not very sexy, right? I think people looked at the Hicks and the Geo Knight were like, right. I think that's where Hotronix really helped improve things as they kind of worked on their look. But I think it's one of the most important pieces of this. So,
and Aaron, in the scheme of things, $1,500 for a piece of equipment that you're going to have in your shop for at least 10 years, it is a very small investment. If you can't afford a $1,500 heat press, maybe there's some other assumptions that need to go along with that as well. Because I'm going to start cheap and then work my way up. You're going to start and end cheap.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth. And we're not saying this because we want to sell you a heat press or anything. Like we're saying this because we've seen this, right? This is the reality that some people have faced, and we just see people struggle with that. So, all right.
And Aaron, a lot of us who sell equipment, we sell a heat press as a convenience to the customer. It's not a source of a lot of revenue for most of us. It's you don't have a heat press, well, I can handle that for you, so you don't have to go out and find it elsewhere. But anyway, critically important. But Aaron, let's jump into outsourcing DTF transfer. When do you think outsourcing makes sense?
Well, I'm a big fan of this outsourcing thing in general, right? So I probably lean a little bit more towards outsourcing first, which my friends that sell equipment like Terry probably are like, come on, dude. But here's the thing. Your startup costs are low, right? So you're not making this big investment that now all of a sudden you're paying these payments on and you're just struggling to keep your head above water, right? Your startup costs are extremely low. We just said $1,500 to have a good heat press. And so it really gives us an opportunity to test the demand. Like, can you generate enough business to keep your printer printing? There's no daily printer maintenance, right? Like in our world today, the maintenance is not as difficult as it once was, but there's still that needs to be done. There's no managing stock of inventory, of film, of powder, of cleaning, of ventilation, making sure you've got replacement parts if you need them, right? So I think if you're a shop that's especially brand new, or maybe you're not quite sure where this fits in your business, right? Maybe you're an embroiderer and you occasionally get some requests for DTF type stuff. So you've got inconsistent or unpredictable volumes. I think what outsourcing can do is it really allows the decorator to focus on selling the market, generating the policies and procedures, the customer service, artwork, right? Like that's something. Just had somebody recently like, oh man, I got this piece of equipment. To your point, right? Somebody must have sold him a bill of goods about this magic button. And they're like, oh, it feels too plasticky. And I'm like, okay, what color shirt are you going on? Black. I'm like, well, there's a ton of black in this artwork. What graphics program do you use? They're like, graphics program. I'm like, oh boy, okay. So, right, like that. You're now paying a payment on a piece of equipment that you can't use to its maximum capacity because you haven't taken the time to learn the artwork process yet, or what's required, right? Because like, well, that's just what the customer gave us. Okay. And now are you going to charge them to make it production ready, or are you just going to print it and give it to them? Because they were concerned about printing it and giving it to them because it didn't feel great. But what's your policy there? What's your procedure for, that artwork, and are you going to be charging for it and stuff like that? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer is what I'm saying, Terry, but the fact that you have nothing and you're just going to kind of wing it says, oh boy, maybe we're not quite ready yet. So then one more thing before I turn it over to you, your take on this, Terry, is I think transfer pricing still, because of the fact that DTF has been such a hot commodity for a bit here, lots of people have DTF equipment now, and therefore they're trying to figure out how to build their volume. And a lot of people thought, okay, I'm just going to sell transfers. I'm going to make a killing off of selling transfers. What they found out was the race to the bottom was really what happened. And so, the current pricing on transfers is still extremely competitive. And I've actually had some conversation with some folks that once we dug into their actual numbers, they had bought a piece of equipment, a 12-inch wide piece of equipment, and kind of were sent on their way. And we quickly were able to do some math, and what it was costing them to just run that machine was about double of what it would cost to go buy retail transfers from somebody like Ninja Transfers, who are pretty expensive, right? So, I think just understanding that, I'm not saying don't invest in equipment. We'll get to some of those things, but what's your take here?
Well, and I agree with you, Aaron. And when you say people who sell equipment, if somebody says to me, I just don't know, I always say, well, you should job out your transfers.
Yeah.
You should build your book of business and see where you are, and you'll probably also see that there's pretty substantial growth if you're out there promoting your product. Now, and Aaron, as you said, a lot of people are out there trying to keep their machines running by just selling transfers as well. This goes right back to year one of Two Regular Guys, where I said many times, there are lots and lots and lots of screen printers. There aren't very many good screen printers. It's the same here.
Yeah.
Just because somebody bought a piece of equipment doesn't mean they know how to run it. As you said, Aaron, you've got a graphic filled with black ink on a black shirt, and they don't know enough that they can knock that black out and make that a really, really nice print. So, I always tell people, if you're in doubt, then job out. Now, on the flip side of that, Aaron, somebody will say to me, well, I'm already jobbing out. Well, what are you spending now? Oh gosh, probably $10,000 a month on transfers. I'm like, okay, well, you need to take a step back. If you're spending $10,000 a month on transfers, you need to get out your calculator. You need to go over and talk to Aaron and figure out that your payment is a fraction of that, and your finished transfers are a fraction of that as well. So, sometimes it's just people get a little skittish to put their toe in the water, and let's add to that, there are horror stories. Just like with any technology, it usually starts with, Well, it was a lot cheaper if I went straight to China and bought a machine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sign up for WhatsApp because your 1 a.m. Support calls are going to be via
If you
WhatsApp.
can even get that, right? Like, and the understanding of what's actually being said. Yeah. So I think, Terry, just to kind of put a bow on this outsourcing side of things, right? We've got a lot of content to get through in a short amount of time. So I think one thing to also think about is a lot of times you can get access to large. So I know people that have equipment, but still outsource from time to time, right? Maybe they need an extended gamut transfer because they're trying to hit a color and they don't have that extended gamut capability, right? And so they have access to that, or maybe there's printer doesn't print that quickly, which is fine, right? Like as long as it's an industrial grade piece of equipment. But if you get a huge order, why not go to somebody that can do 600 square feet an hour that has maybe, a system like that, or, so again, on the bonus side. Now, I want to be very clear, right? That I'm not over here trying to sell outsourcing all your stuff. On the flip side of it, the things that you need to consider if you're going to say, okay, outsourcing is the right place for me, there are shipping costs, right? And so that's got to go into your pricing. There are turnaround times, right? So you need to make sure that you've got a partner that will say, hey, this is orders in by then, ship the same day, or whatever that is, right? Now, the great part is there are lots of really good transfer folks out there. Like Terry said, there's lots of not so good. Like, for example, and I'm going to name a name just because I'm really impressed with what they're doing. I've talked to them quite a bit at the DAX show. Pro Transfers, right? They've got a lot of tools that they're building to help people with the artwork stuff, with some of the challenges that can come from DTF printing, right? And so, if you're not sure where to start, I'd go over to Pro Transfers and check with them. Anyhow, I'm not here to promote anybody. I'm just saying that there's these different sides of things. If you're somebody that takes a rush order, right now, you've got to make sure that you understand what the time process is from, okay, I order transfers to when I receive them, that type of thing. And to your point, there are horror stories, and you're now partnering with somebody else. And so you have to be able to trust that they're going to provide a quality transfer, a reliable transfer, something that's going to, work every time. And so I think a relationship with your transfer vendor is really, really important. So I think we've covered a lot of anything else on that, Terry, before we jump into the other.
No, I think we've kind of explained that enough. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Just want to make sure we weren't missing any comments. And Ramona says, before you purchase the equipment, break down the cost per sheet. Use a standard size like a full front shirt. Don't forget to include the film, the ink. Break it all down per transfer cost. Compare to what price you can get with the outsource. But remember, you have to print enough to cover the cost of equipment. Yeah, because that's the first part, right? But we'll talk a little bit about knowing the real numbers here in a second. But there are other costs of ownership that we have to be aware of too. So, all right, talk to us about when printing in-house starts to make sense, right? You said $10,000 a month in transfers. Yeah, it makes sense real quick.
Yes, come back over here. We need to talk a little bit more. $10,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly. But go ahead, Terry.
Well, and again, as I mentioned before, this is one of the few technologies where you can really get a good gauge on what you can sell by jobbing out to start with, and then once you see that steady, predictable volume, and there are costs involved in outsourcing. Those folks printing transfers are in business to make money, so they're going to charge you much more for that transfer than if you do that in house. But here's the bottom line for us today in this Amazon world. I need it now. I need one.
Yeah.
I need it custom. And so a lot of folks who bring in their transfers, buy equipment, bring that production in-house, is because they need more control over getting those transfers. And yet, maybe you've misspelled something. Your turnaround on getting those replaced is certainly more extended than well, I've really messed this up. I'm gonna stay till 8 o'clock tonight and rerun these. So
Yeah.
you've got to have the space for, you have to understand that you've got a printer, you've got a shaker, you've got the supplies. Some machines you need to vent out, some you don't. So you need to know what the footprint is. Some machines you need to get behind them to load the film. So you have to know what space is going to be required.
Yep.
Do you have enough cash flow during the slow months? And we all have those periods where I've never run across a business that had consistent sales month after month after month. Everybody's cyclical. So, um, um, and you also have to know that, do I have somebody on staff that's going to be doing regular maintenance? Do I have somebody on staff that understands how to turn a screwdriver? Because a lot of times with any equipment, especially highly technical equipment like inkjet printers, you're going to have somebody that's available to work on that machine if you need to. So lots of opportunities. My takeaway is once you see that you have a volume that's going to more than cover that payment, you're going to save substantially on the cost of your individual transfers. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on actually pulling the trigger, Aaron?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit the major parts of things I want to reiterate or make sure that we got to was that, you've got that payment now, right? That's your payment to have. It might feel good right now, but what are you going to do in the slow month, right? Don't put yourself in a spot where you're living on the edge there. Now you do again have greater control, faster testing, easier reprints to your point there, flexibility in scheduling, and honestly, having equipment can create opportunities, right? Like you can provide transfers to somebody else to keep things going, in your local area, so that kind of thing. I think the next part though, Terry, is then, okay, we've got both sides of it, but I think what happens, we talked about it at the open, is the folks selling you the equipment are maybe telling you something, but maybe not everything, right? Like it's got to fit their story that they're trying to tell. And so there's these numbers that are just thrown at people and nobody goes, well, prove it. Or well, how did you get to that number? Right.
Right.
So Ramona had talked about earlier about making sure you're including everything, So here's what I would do. And I actually, I don't know, Eric, if we can get it up, but I actually built a little calculator with our help of our friends at Skynet there. And basically want to start with the average monthly outsourced DTF spend, include all of the numbers like transfers, shipping costs, rest charges, any other related fees. And you can plug that in there. Estimate the average transfer size. And I know it's going to vary wildly, but if you're somebody that's doing a lot of full fronts, right, then you're, 10 by 12, 12 by 12, right? I just used 12 by 12 in this example here to be able to, show that how many transfers are you pressing each month, right? And so a front and a back, that's 2. So if you're doing 10 shirts that are front and back, that's 20, right? See, we're doing some math together. I'm terrible at math on the fly, but I can do it. I can do 10 plus 10. And then the other thing to think about, Terry, is what's your expected growth over the next 12 months, right? That's an important piece. If you think this can grow, then that might mean you can get into equipment a little bit quicker. And then take that and then compare it to the real monthly cost of ownership, right? So I'm just going to use the example that I know. I'm not familiar with everybody else's equipment, but at Super Gamut, we estimate, and because there is some range to it, right? The more you spend, the cheaper your consumables get, the more you stock, that kind of stuff, what type of equipment you own. And there's a few other variables like, again, the size of your prints and all that stuff that we just talked about. But on average, you can look at about 30 to 60 cents a square foot for the partners that work with Super Gamut. right? And so we'll just use a assumption of 50 cents for this discussion for ease of math for me, Terry. Does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that cost varies based on purchasing volume, your ink coverage, all that stuff. But the other side of it is then you have to understand how much it costs you just to be in business every day, right? And you will be shocked at the number of decorators out there that have no clue of that, right? Like my straw poll tells me that about 75% of the decorators that I encounter at the trade shows do not have that number readily available, right? And I get it. That they didn't get into this business to be an accountant. But the reality is, as business owner, that's an important tool. So let's just assume that it takes you 20 seconds per press, right? For Super Gamut, it's 275, 7 seconds to do a little post press, lining up the shirt, all that stuff. I come up with about 20 seconds per press. And let's just assume that your overhead rate, how much it costs you just to be in business every day, is about $75 per production hour. Now, your cost is going to vary based on employee wages, your press type, your workflow, your efficiency, all these other things.
Right.
But if we do those assumptions, that gives us about 42 cents per transfer application for the pressing label. So if we can enlarge that calculator again real quick, Eric. We plug all that in, and let me scroll down on it a little bit. You can kind of see that projected outsourcing costs is about $525, including all that, the labor and stuff like that. Estimated in-house. So this is the break-even number here that feels right for me. So if you're spending $350 a month and you're pressing about, you could get into this, and now this is based on the entry-level piece of equipment with Super Gamut, which costs about $18,500. And so we've got some numbers in here. So our finance company said on good credit, your payment is about $385 a month. And this particular person has a good heat press, right? So we could change this here, and you see the numbers change, right? So there's so many things to go off of here, Terry, but like if we wanted to give somebody kind of a general, we can remove that off the screen now, Eric. Thank you for that. So anyhow, your thoughts there, Terry.
Well, 100% agree. And I think that 50 cent number is probably, you could use it really across the board once you're making your calculations. But, and I agree the people not knowing what their overhead is, and, your overhead's going to be there whether or not you buy equipment or not, probably, because you still have to pay your rent, you still have to pay your employees. Maybe you're going to have some more employees, but I think that having a good understanding of what it costs you to either job out or do in house is important. And you know what? It's going to take you sitting down with your calculator and your junior yellow legal pad and do some numbers. And hey, if you don't know, maybe it's not going to be exact. Maybe it's going to be, some of it's going to be an estimate, but at least spend the time to kind of figure out what it's going to cost you or how much you're going to save by doing your production in-house. I kind of skipped around a little bit there.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, let me just tie this up, right? Because one thing to kind of note here is that additional savings on paper don't always equal additional profit, right? And so just some things to consider, right? You are going to have some maintenance and cleaning that needs to happen. There's costs involved in that. You are going to have to get operators up to speed, and maybe you change operators and you got to pay to get that operator up to speed or whatever, right? Or pay with time or resources. You've got, any spoilage, we'll call it, in air quotes there. Right. Oh man, like you said, I messed up that shirt, right? And or I didn't. These transfers didn't come out well. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Maybe the artwork was bad. Any downtime you might have. There's a cost to that, right? So if you're buying from somebody, do they have an uptime guarantee? that can make sure that you are printing even when your machine goes down. You already talked about space, ventilation, electrical requirements. You're going to have to now manage inventory of inks and powders and film. You mentioned getting WhatsApp, right? The time spent communicating with technical support and trying to figure out what they're saying. So a machine that sits idle can still require maintenance, and that monthly payment doesn't. You can't call up your finance company and say, "Well, I didn't do any business this month, so I'm not going to make the payment this month, but I'm hoping next month we'll make this work." Right? Like you can only get away with that story for so long before they decide to take that back from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, let me jump in and say this. Downtime is the scourge of all garment decorators, no matter how you're decorating.
Yeah.
I've walked into hundreds of shops where not a single press is running. Nobody's actually producing anything that's making us money because of downtime. So if you can fix your downtime, you're going to make more money. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's just get to the closing thoughts here, Terry.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're gonna there's plenty of other information, but I'm actually working on a couple of things, and so we'll continue to kind of put this out there for the regulators and see. We talked about, does this need to be a multiple part show? But we've got our schedule booked out until late August, so we'll see when we come back to this discussion or if there's a different show in there. But Terry, I would say, again, from my side of it, the first bullet point for me is don't buy a printer because someone says you're leaving money on the table. Right? So no, you get to be the blue cheese. Oh, sorry, I got a little yuck. But you get to be the blue cheese now. So what's the opposite of that?
Well, don't continue outsourcing just because equipment ownership feels intimidated to you. Know your volume, know your costs, know your operational capacity, and let's go all the way back to the beginning, Aaron. Invest in the right heat press first.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. All right, Terry. Well, to wrap this up, here's my closing statement here. I think if you're involved in the apparel decorating world today, there's a good chance that you are somehow involved with DTF currently or will be. It just seems where it's heading. So the right time to bring DTF in-house is not when you can afford a payment. It's when your numbers, your workflow, and your production supports that decision. That's my opinion, Terry. So any other closing thoughts here?
100% agree with you. Do your homework, talk to references. If somebody can't give you a reference, then there's probably some reason they don't want you talking to their current customers.
Yep.
There's a lot of good equipment out there, a lot of good companies out there. Do your homework first before you call me up and say, man, I made a big mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ramona added in, but you also need to know your limitations, right? Learning complex softwares and processes. Yeah, it's like anything else, right? We've got to integrate it into our business, and there is some learning curve to that. So, if anybody wants to get, a copy of that calculator that we showed, I'm happy to share it with you, and you can plug in your numbers, other machine, other stuff like that. Just email us info@2regularguys and request a copy of that calculator. It's just a spreadsheet that I put together. So I'm happy to share that with any of the regulators who want to reach out to me. All right, Terry. Well, before we get Warren in here, he's patiently waiting for us. Appreciate that, Warren. But what do you got coming up here?
He knows us. He knows we run long.
Yeah.
My complete screen printing business course, upcoming dates at Atlas Screen Supply in Chicago, August 22nd, 23rd, November 7th and 8th. I'll be at DAX Twin Cities, August 7th and 8th at the DTF Superstore booth. I'll be in the Apparel Zone at Printing United in Las Vegas, September 23rd through 25th. I will be in the DTF Superstore area. Remember, the Apparel Zone is all about education, not selling. So it is a safe space for you to ask about DTF and DTG printers or questions about the process. Watch for all my upcoming events at terrycombs.com. How about you, Aaron?
Well, first off, I have a question. Do we need to make one of those like little safe house, safe space stickers for you to put up there in the Apparel Zone?
What kind of a sticker?
Well, like you go to
Oh,
like a
safe
fire
space. Oh, yeah,
station,
yeah, yeah.
they have like the if the kids can go and know that it's a safe space, right? So
That's awesome, right?
we'll put a safe space sticker up there for you. I
I,
like
I
that.
think this should be on my shirt.
Yeah, there you go. I'm safe. I will not oversell you. All right. For me, real quick, I've just got one thing I want to share. I want to invite anybody to take a look at Purpose Plus Profit. It's a retreat happening October 30th and 31st here in St. Charles, Missouri, just about 10 minutes west of the St. Louis airport. And it's a place where small business owners are going to step away from all the noise. They're going to reconnect with their purpose. They're going to get practical strategies for stronger profits. And they're going to build real community with people who understand the journey. We've had some folks that are like, hey, I'm local. Is there a no hotel option? And we were like, no, because, right, this is that space. And they were like, oh, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, I'm in. Right. They were like, oh, can I say it? And they're like, no, I don't want to. Like, we include the hotel because we want to take away all of the noise. And so we've intentionally limited the seating. And I believe this sounds like a room that you need to be in. If you're not been considering it yet, please reach out to me. I'm happy to share. Again, like Terry, it's a safe space. I'm not going to sell you. We're going to tell you what's going on. It's being actually hosted by my good friends Becky Kotzer and Sandy Lundstrom. And so you're also welcome to message either of them, Becky Kotzer. But just email me, Aaron at oursuccessgroup.com. You can email two regular guys to whatever's easiest for you. But make sure you get the details about this. The spots are already starting to fill up, and the early bird rate is over at the end of July here. So it's time to start getting signed up for that. I know October seems a ways out there, but it's going to catch up to us really quickly. So, all right, let me share what Eric's got coming up here, and then we will get Warren in here for the secret sauce. So, Eric, you can join him today for the Take Up. It's episode number 259. It's a Q&A catch-up, choosing underlay, enveloping tips, and motif planning. Eric's catching up with his comment and question backlog with a discussion on why we choose one underlay style over another, tips on how to handle envelopes and text warping without production problems. Terry likes that. And how to properly plan motifs. So if you're an embroiderer or anywhere near the embroidery world, you need to be joining these segments. They are just master classes each and every week. You can jump in at 2:30 Mountain Time, 4:30 Eastern. If you'll head over to Eric Campbell, ERICH, Campbell.com, and click the Take Up tab at the top, that'll give you the link to where this episode is going to be, plus all of the past episodes. You guys need to check out the Take Up. It's a wonderful segment every Friday afternoon. So, all right, Terry. Whew. Secret sauce time. Are we ready? You got your junior yellow legal pad. I've got my marker ready.
I'm ready.
Bring the fire here. So,
all right, let's hear it.
Hey there, how's everybody doing today? So really the secret sauce today is not so secret. Everybody knows it, but not enough people are doing it. And I wanted to remind people that rather than cold calling and looking to drum up sales for your business, dive into your old accounts. You have the data, they're in the system. I don't know about you, but me, they never were erased. Why do you want to do that? Because it's easier than spending time, money, energy, and freaking yourself out when no one calls you back. So you pull out that whole list, you reach out to them. Chances are nobody at either side, you or the company, even knows what you did wrong and why you're not working together. And you don't have to go there. If you are the owner of the company, you should have everybody doing this. And if the account is big enough, you should be calling yourself, because you're probably kicking yourself in the ass because you've lost some accounts that you weren't involved in. When you speak to customers and you're the owner, it's a different conversation no matter what. And you don't need to lose people for no reason. And if you're going to lose a salesperson, you want to know the account. I've seen too many people waste too much time, lose good customers for no reason, just because they didn't call. The other thing is this. If I'm talking to the owners now. The minute you have a person who leaves your company, you pull out their customer list and you personally sit down and call every customer and tell them why you're calling, because you care, because you're interested. You're going to put another person on it that you believe is valuable for them. If they're really big, you're going to go yourself. As an owner, don't be lazy. You are your best salesperson out there. Why? Because it's your company, it's your money, and you are the person who is responsible. It's really that simple. Another suggestion that I would make to owners, once a year, minimum, with your reps, visit all your accounts. Make sure you have a business card from every customer you have. Make sure they have yours. Make sure you connect with them on LinkedIn. You tie in. You make sure that you send some messages throughout the year. These are easy steps to maintain relationships, because all we hear out there is about relationships. It's really, really simple. That's the sauce. Just go at it.
That was great. And what a wonderful secret sauce, man. I got all sorts of great notes. Make sure you guys check out Warren. You can actually, he's got a really cool shop too that he's got some great stuff on. The printwhisperer.shop is where you can go check that out and see all the cool stuff. Warren is going to be back with us in a little less than a month's time. Terry, he was gracious enough to move for us because we had this show planned and we didn't get it on the calendar. But really excited to get Warren back on. Always great talking to him. And if you are going to, if you're on the fence about Printing United, Warren's going to be there. He is also an all-star. And we will be able to see Warren in person there in Las Vegas coming up in September.
All right. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Terry. Well, we have come to the close of another show. Thank you for having that conversation with me today. I think we covered a lot of really good ground there. I know we've got plenty left, but yeah, it was a great conversation today.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. We also want to thank our show producer, Eric Campbell, for all he does, keeping us on the air, pushing those buttons, turning those wheels. Thanks, Eric.
Yep, much appreciated, Eric. And again, thanks to Warren for jumping in with the secret sauce. Thanks to our friends from Win News at the top to bring in the news. And next week, Terry, we've got Liz Wimbosh, the Director of Sustainability and Responsibility. Man, that sounds big. I'm nervous now. Liz is awesome. We got to meet her through the work we did. Can't remember the name of the program now with Jay, Terry, but yep. Anyhow,
Sustainable merchandise.
Thank you. Yeah, Sustainable Merch Summit. There you go. Thank you. Gosh, brain melt there. All right. Anyhow, she's with PPAI, and she's another voice in the sustainability. She's a kindred spirit of Cassie and Teresa, and all in that same ilk. And so Liz is going to talk to us about what PPAI is doing when it comes to sustainability, and just in general, what they see from their vantage point. So I'm really looking forward to that show next week, Terry.
The first director of sustainability for PPAI. So that should be a great show. Oh, wow. But until then, I'm Terry Combs. He's Eric Montgomery.
And that was the Two Regular Guys.
Here we go. We're out.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Two Regular Guys. We're here because of listeners like you, and we're so grateful to have you on this journey with us. For more valuable insight, be sure to visit our website, 2regularguys.com, and join the conversation on our Facebook page. And hey, if you or someone you know has expertise, a unique perspective, or a story worth sharing, we'd love to have them as a guest on the show. Just reach out. Remember, success in this industry isn't just about the equipment you own or the techniques you've mastered. It's about the mindset you bring and the connections you build. Keep learning, stay curious, and don't be afraid to think differently. Keep pressing on, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Two Regular Guys.